Hello, this is Dr. Helen Foo. Welcome to my show. Today we have a special guest. Dr. Raymond Francis was at the height of an international consulting career when his health began declining rapidly. From chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, lupus, Hashimoto's, to liver failure. At age 48, his doctors told him, "There's nothing more we can do for you." Now, at almost age 80, Raymond is healthier than ever. He has written 5 books: Never Be Sick Again, Never Be Fat Again, Never Fear Cancer Again, Never Feel Old Again, and his newest book, The Great American Health Hoax. Raymond has addressed health conferences all over the U.S. and in 6 other countries, and has made over 2,000 television and radio appearances. He's a former U.S. Army officer, chairman of the Project to End Disease, and the president of Beyond Health International. Welcome to our show, Raymond.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's great to be here. Super.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your experiences. You were pretty sick at a young age, and what happened?
What happened? My doctors, I was feeling tired. My doctors did testing, and they gave me drugs. The drugs poisoned my liver. My liver died, and I almost died. And at the last moment, I had to use my knowledge of biochemistry to save my life and to restore my health. But it took me over 2 years to do that because I was so close to death. There was really nothing left. There was no life left, and I had to rebuild the whole thing. And that was really an amazing experience because I started to ask, like, why did I get sick? You know, how do people get sick? What do you have to do to make a healthy person a sick person? And if you have a sick person, what do you have to do to make them healthy again? And I started getting answers to those questions, and I thought, whoa, this is really powerful. And I realized that if I had known these things before I got sick, I would not have gotten sick. And I realized that other people are in the same situation. I want to use these words very, very carefully. There is no compelling reason, repeat, there is no compelling reason why anyone should have any of these chronic diseases. No reason why we should have cancer or heart disease or Alzheimer's or arthritis or osteoporosis or any of these chronic diseases. No compelling reason because we know how to prevent them and we know how to reverse them. We have to take that knowledge, we have to give it to people, and we have to put it to use. And that's why I write my books, you know. The Great American Health Hoax. It tells you why the system isn't working and what do we need to do to make it work and what you need to do in your life to make it work for you. There's a maintenance list in here, the whole chapter on a maintenance list. You know, I love old cars. I go to old car shows. You see a car that's over 100 years old. It looks like new. It runs like new. Why? Somebody has given it tender, loving care and maintained it and restored it. We're no different. All we have to do is learn how to maintain our body, and we can, all of us, look great and run great at well over 100 years old.
I agree with that. I think we can live over 150
Yes.
if we really learn how to take care of our health.
If we learn how to take, so in this book is a maintenance list. You know, a car comes with a maintenance list. It says change the oil.
Yes.
Do that. We don't. We're born. Where's the maintenance list? We don't have one.
That's true.
Here's the maintenance list. It tells you how to maintain the human body so that you can get well, stay well, and never be sick again. There's no compelling reason why anyone should be sick, except for very few people. There are some true genetic diseases, a few percent. But the other enormous, so let's say there's 3%. The other 97%, there's no reason for it. The body is a magnificent, self-regulating, self-repairing system. It will keep you in fabulous health, feeling terrific for well over 100 years if you don't screw it up. But what we
That's
do,
hard to do. A lot of people try very hard to screw it up,
yes,
right?
I agree. In our society, it's hard to do because we have created a toxic environment. Our foods are all, there's no nutrition in the foods. The food supply is compromised. For example, today you have to eat 20 carrots to get the same zinc you got in 1 carrot just 50 years ago. So nobody's eating the 20 carrots. The soils are depleted. So the food supply is compromised. We've created a toxic environment. We have changed our lifestyles. So we've created a disease-causing system. And we can't go back to living in caves. I'm sure not going to. But what we can do is if we understand the changes we have made and then compensate for them, then it's a whole new world. And that's what I've learned to do. Here I am, I'm going to be 80 in a few months. I feel fabulous. I am never tired. I go, 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 go. I am never tired. I never get sick. In the past, it's almost 32 years. In the past 32 years, I've had 3 health problems. I had 3 colds. And I have a good excuse for each cold, because having a cold is irresponsible and inexcusable. Nobody has to have a cold, nobody. We can learn how not to have a cold. We can learn to get well, stay well, and never be sick again. And the body is designed to do that. That's how wonderful it is. The body isn't designed to be sick. It's designed to be healthy. All we have to do is stop making it sick.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And actually, one of your books, Never Be Sick Again,
yes,
it's my favorite book, and it's still on the shelf in my office. And I understand that you've sold how many copies?
Oh, Never Be Sick Again has sold, I think, well over 350,000 copies worldwide.
Wow.
It's been translated in Chinese. The Chinese love it. Been translated, it's
into quite a few languages, right?
Bestseller. International bestseller. Never Be Sick Again. And it just keeps selling all by itself. I mean, people keep telling their friends and neighbors, and everybody buys it. And
it's such a easy to read book.
yes.
I remember I've recommended to some of my clients, and they said, oh, because usually when I read books about health, it's so hard to understand, but this is an easy book.
Yeah, well, what I do is I make things simple. I take very complex cellular biology and I take this and reduce it down to simple thoughts, because if we want to empower people to be healthy, we can't give them, highly technical biochemistry. They're not going to understand it. So you have to take it and reduce it to something that ordinary people can understand. And I take what's in Never Be Sick Again, and I teach it to 10-year-olds. And they understand it, and they go home, and they act upon it. And it's wonderful to watch. It's just, it's miraculous.
As I understand it, you are quite popular in Middle East, right?
Very, very popular.
Even the royal family, I think they are big fans of you.
Yes, 2 royal families. And I work with movie stars, I work with CEOs, I work with, because what I do, you see, existing medicine, healthcare is a hoax. Healthcare is a hoax.
Why do you call it a hoax?
Well, what is a hoax? Okay, a hoax is something that is pretending to be something that it is not. Our healthcare system is pretending to be a healthcare system, but it is not.
It's a sick care system.
Yes. So what is healthcare? The definition of healthcare is maintaining or restoring health. Now, our healthcare system doesn't maintain health. It waits for you to get sick. Then you go to the doctor and you say, doctor, I'm sick. And then the doctor doesn't restore your health. The doctor manages the symptoms of your disease. So we don't have a healthcare system. We have a disease management system. So the healthcare system in America is a hoax. It's pretending to be something that it's not. And we have to stop this. We need a true healthcare system, science-based true healthcare system, and we have to start educating individual people. And that's why I write my books, because the system isn't going to change from the top down. It's too profitable. There's too much money in the system that isn't working. And we know what does work. The science is there. All we need to do is teach it to people. And nobody needs to go see a doctor unless you've been in an accident, which, you know, you don't need doctors, you don't need hospitals, you don't need drugs. I mean, you need to take care of your body. God made your body so that it works right. Then you screw it up and think the doctor's going to fix it. No, you screwed it up, you fix it.
That's true. You are your own best doctor, right?
Absolutely.
I'm so looking forward to reading that book.
Great.
And so I also know that you just gave 2 presentations at MIT and Harvard for the past 2 days.
Yes, I was at Harvard yesterday and I was at MIT the day before.
So you were there just educating the MDs?
Well, educating everybody, staff, you know, faculty, students. So we need to educate everybody. The MIT was wonderful. The room was filled with a tremendous mixture. Undergraduate students, graduate students, members of the staff, secretaries, and professors. They were all there, and it was a wonderful mixture, and I had a wonderful time.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how can somebody, what do they need to do if they want to achieve excellent health like what you do? What's your suggestion?
First and foremost, you need to educate yourself. Knowledge is power. You need the knowledge. Nobody wants you to know this knowledge. Your doctor doesn't know it. So you need to know it. And the knowledge is all here, like the Great American Health Hoax and Never Be Sick. All my books. If you have cancer, buy Never Fear Cancer Again, because it's all in there. How do you prevent cancer? It's in that book. How do you cure cancer? It's in that book. And so you need to educate yourself and learn. And what I've done is reduced it to the simplest things. There's only one disease, a malfunctioning cell.
I totally agree.
And so, if you think there's thousands of diseases, you are disempowered. Nobody can deal with thousands of different diseases. But if there's only one disease, a malfunctioning cell, and the cell is malfunctioning because it's deficient in things that it needs and because it's toxic in things it doesn't need, then you know what's wrong, you know how to fix it, and that gives you the power. You are empowered when you think this way, and you are disempowered when you think there are thousands of diseases.
Wow. So what do you do every day? Do you take supplements?
Absolutely. The National Academy of Sciences says that it is now impossible to get the nutrition you need, even if you eat a good diet. And as I just said before, it's like with the carrots. You got to eat 20 carrots today to get the same zinc you got in 1 carrot 50 years ago. Almost everybody in America is short zinc. Magnesium the same way. Almost every American is short magnesium. So if you are deficient in even one nutrient on a chronic basis, you will get sick. And the average American is deficient in at least several on a chronic basis. And that's the foundation of our epidemic of chronic disease. So everybody needs to supplement, but then you get into the
quality of the supplements.
The quality
makes
of the
big
supplements.
difference also.
Most of them do not work.
Yes.
Most of them do not work. Even some of the top-selling brands in the world are biologically worthless. So I saw that problem, and I said, well, I'm a chemist. Let me do something. So I designed my own vitamins. I make my own vitamins. They are some of the highest quality vitamins in the entire world. It's the Beyond Health brand. And for those who are interested, it's Beyond, B-E-Y-O-N-D, Health, H-E-A-L-T-H, and then a .com, and you can go see them. But there's only a handful of brands in the country that are truly effective, and the rest of them go from somewhat effective down to zero effectiveness. You're just wasting your money.
And also, a lot of people take synthetically formulated supplements,
well,
and that's
a big
going
problem.
to do more harm than good.
It can do more harm than good, yeah. Most of the vitamins on the market are synthetics. They start with petroleum, as essentially. They're synthetics. And the structure of the molecules is different from the structure of the molecules that Mother Nature produces. So you might say, oh, I'm taking vitamin X. Yes, 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 but the vitamin X produced by Mother Nature is fundamentally different. It's the molecules are in a different shape, and in biology, shape is everything, because it determines how the molecules are metabolized. So everybody needs vitamins, and really there's only a handful of brands on the market that actually work.
What do you see as medicine in the future?
Well, I'm concerned about the future. I'm concerned economically. I've spoken on this at international meetings, and the United States is bankrupt, and it gets worse every single day. We have the biggest debt in the history of the world. We can't pay it, and eventually we're going to have a very, very serious economic collapse. The economists say that the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the biggest single factor driving all these problems, is the cost of disease. And the economists say if we can cut the cost of disease in half, we can take this catastrophic economic problem and turn it into a manageable economic problem. That's a good thing. So what we need to do as quickly as possible is cut the cost of disease in half. We need to educate. We need a national educational campaign to educate hundreds of millions of Americans on how to get well, how to stay well, how not to be sick, so that we can cut the cost of disease before it cuts us.
Yes.
So it's a very serious, and the politicians aren't talking about this. Nobody wants to talk about this because they don't know what to do about it.
Since you are a chemist, by training and also MIT graduate, I do want to talk to you about your opinions and, expert opinions. What do you think of asphalt plant?
Asphalt plants, well,
yeah.
I understand they're talking about one in
There is one
in
that's
this
going to
community.
come into our community.
Well, it is theoretically possible to have an asphalt plant with zero emissions. And theoretically. As a practical matter, I doubt if they're going to build a zero emissions plant. So therefore, you're going to have hydrocarbons being emitted from the asphalt plant. And these hydrocarbons, you'll breathe them in. The body doesn't know what to do with them. It stores them. And you store them in your tissues. And this is one of the, as I said, there's only two causes of disease: deficiency, toxicity. And the reason we get sick as we get older, the doctor will tell you you're getting sick because you're older. Here I am, I'm older, and I'm healthier than I was when I was younger. No, it has nothing to do with age. What it has to do is that as you get older, your toxic load builds higher and higher and higher and disrupts your chemistry, and then you get sick. So the more toxins you put in, the faster this happens. And so the fewer fumes you breathe in, the healthier you will be. And these are the hydrocarbon emissions from the asphalt plant are oil-soluble toxins. And the human body was never designed to get rid of oil-soluble toxins. So it stores them. And then every year it builds up and builds up and builds up, and pretty soon you get massive cellular dysfunction and you get sick. And then you go to the doctor, and the doctor never says, well, why did you breathe in all those fumes? But they're now part of our life. I mean, we can't get away from it. We're in this room. The carpet is outgassing. This furniture is outgassing. And you go home and your mattress is outgassing, and you're breathing all these things in your car. So we've
Everything
created...
adds up.
It adds up, precisely. Not any one of these is going to really make you sick, but the combination of all of them added up do make you sick. And that's why saunas have now become an absolute necessity. The only way we know how to reliably get rid of these stored oil-soluble toxins is with a sauna. So saunas are now an absolute necessity, and most people don't know that. And we've got to get the word out, because you cannot live healthy if you don't sauna. I sauna twice a week for an hour to an hour and a half. When we try to, if we measure the average American, they are a toxic waste dump site, literally. The average American now has some toxins that exceed the levels that we know cause disease in animals. We measure me, hard to measure anything, because I sauna on a regular basis. I'm still getting toxins in. I take them out as fast as I'm getting them in. So we all need to do this. We all need to learn to do this. So there, again, we can't go back to living in caves, but by knowing what we've done, we can compensate for it. And taking a sauna is a way of compensating for the toxic environment that we've created.
It's a good way to pull out some toxins. But I'm just curious, because what people are concerned about for the asphalt plant, not only the fumes, a lot of it, the toxins, they contain some of the cancer-causing toxins, such as lead, cadmium, formaldehyde, benzene, but also the fine particles.
Yes.
Because the fine particles, according to Environmental Protection Agency, that's going to be one of the biggest problems. Because
you are absolutely correct.
They are pushed down into the lungs and can't really get out and get into the bloodstream.
The latest research shows that fine particles are a major cause of disease. So here we're not even talking about the chemistry, we're talking about mechanical things, fine particles, but getting into the lungs and disrupting the cells in the lungs, and so absolutely fine particles are a serious problem, and any plant that is emitting them is a serious problem. And you want to talk about fine particles and problems, diesel engines, all these big trucks going along on the freeway, spewing out all their diesel fumes, those are fine particles, and they're doing tremendous damage.
So that's why, that's another concern of the residents in Westford. Not only they have this plant that's going to produce, a lot of chemicals, just 24/7 pretty much, but also they will have hundreds of trucks coming in and out of the plant carrying this asphalt.
Sure.
Yes,
well,
it's all over in the community.
Adding to the problem, adding to the problem. It's difficult, but it's we need asphalt plants. If you want to drive on the highway, you need an asphalt plant. But you need to put it in a place that is further away from populated areas.
And especially elementary schools and the seniors citizen centers. That's just I think it's always a good practice just to have it further away from people.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah, the further away, the better.
Okay, so is there such a concept as safe distance? Like how far away from the asphalt plant is considered safe?
I don't know the answer to that, and I would say that it would be dependent upon the prevailing wind direction. There might be, a channel like downwind where you get most of it, and people out here don't. So it has to be measured in the individual circumstance. I remember there was a study up in Vermont. They found there was a little remote town in Vermont that had enormously high carbon monoxide levels. Wow, how do you do that in this little town in Vermont? They studied it, and they found that there were power plants, like in Chicago, and the plume from the power plant would go up and go in the atmosphere like in a pipe, and then come down on this little town in Vermont.
Wow.
And the carbon monoxide levels were off the charts. So there's no answer to that. You have to measure it. But certainly the emissions have an effect, but we don't know exactly where and how the effect will be.
Since I've been traveling back and forth to China pretty frequently, I travel like a few times every year, and every time I go back to China, I could smell the air. And a lot of times I even put on like 2 layers of masks on me. I could still smell it. And so that's why it's very concerning and troublesome for people because, as we know, lung cancer is one of the top
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
cause of
I
death
can
in
remember
China.
the first time I went to Cairo. The air was so thick you'd had to push it aside. We laugh, but yeah, and then you see it doesn't only affect Cairo; it eventually affects the whole planet. And I lived in California for 25 years in Marin County, which is right on the Pacific Ocean, and the air in Marin County was always pristine. And then China started to grow and industrialize, and they use more and more and more coal. Marin County was getting rained on by fine particles from the coal burning plants in China. So,
so it can carry quite far, huh?
Quite far, and so as you see, this is a global problem.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised because even the Chinese government, they've realized the importance of health just because like most Chinese are so sick nowadays and from the pollution. And a lot of local Chinese governments actually, they are shutting down or ordering the relocation of asphalt plants close to residential areas or tourist attractions. So I'm kind of surprised here in America, and somehow the people they don't have the urgency or the awareness of this danger.
Well, of course, the Chinese problem was far worse.
That's true.
They went over the top.
Yeah.
But here, it's and of course there, I was a consultant to the government of China, and I was a consultant to them. I mean, they still had over 20 million people living in caves. I mean, they certainly weren't very industrial. So they industrialized very quickly.
Yes.
So you notice the impact, whereas here it's been a slow evolution, and you don't notice the impact. It's like putting the frog in the water and heating the water up slowly.
Slowly.
Rather than throwing the frog in the boiling water and having to jump out. So that's what China, they threw the frog in the boiling water and they're jumping out. And here we warm the water very slowly.
So what's your last suggestion or words of wisdom to our audience?
Well, I have a positive message. All of us have the power to improve our health. We all have the power. You don't have to be sick. You can get well, you can stay well, you don't have to never be sick again. All you have to do is learn how to do it. And that's a very positive message. It's a very powerful message. And I urge everybody, all of your listeners, to start today to learn what you need to do to keep yourself healthy.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And so it's such an honor to have you. I'm sure you've learned something today from Dr. Raymond Francis. But just think about what you can do to take control of your health. And so absolutely, there was a lot of the things that you can do, just baby steps, step by step. And so just, to do something little. But in prevention, I believe you can totally achieve ultimate health. Stay healthy. See you next time.